Hey guys, this is Justin Bob 100 here, and today I'm going to share with you my top 10 tips to making better levels on Platform Racing 2. Please advise that none of these tips are going to be based off of artwork because that is pretty damn subjective. At my number 10 spot is making sure that you have a good time limit. Now, although pretty insignificant, time limits can make a level much less enjoyable if the time limit is too short. I mean, let's be honest, how many times have you played a level and not been able to beat it just because of the time limit? It sucks, doesn't it? I would advise that you guys give about 2 extra minutes more than what you can do the level in. But if you're an expert, I'd probably give 3 or 4 extra minutes. You never know who's going to play it. At my number 9 spot is making sure that your stat blocks are fairly distributed. Yes, stat blocks can be pretty awesome if used correctly. They can reward players for going out of their way by giving them a happy block and raising their stats, but they can also punish players by giving them a sad block for failing a section or just being plain dumb. Now, you always want to make sure that all the happy blocks and sad blocks are just as easy to fail and get throughout your level. You don't want to make a happy block really easy to get in the beginning and make it almost impossible to get at the end. At my number 8 spot is limiting the use of rotation blocks. Now, rotation blocks can be pretty cool if used correctly. They can give a new take on a section that has already been played or just mix up the gameplay a bit. But they also add lag to computers and make it harder for slower people to win. Slower computers, that is. So just limit it to 1 or 2 cool sections to make the race even more fair. And my number 7 spot is having a lot of block variety in your levels. Yes, having a lot of block variety makes the level look a lot more realistic in what it's trying to portray. Like in this level, it uses basic block 1 and 3 to make it have more of a foresty, rocky feel to it. This level, on the other hand, just uses the same basic block pretty much throughout the level, but when they do mix it up, it's usually at an inappropriate time, which usually isn't good. I would have probably used a basic block 2 and then put a basic block 1 surrounding it to make it look a little bit nicer. At my number 6 spot is making sure not to use unpopular blocks. What I mean by this is don't use crumble blocks or move blocks. Really, they piss people off and can really make a level a lot worse. Like, who wants to do this all day? And move blocks are too random. At my number 5 spot is giving multi-items when you have to use a required item. And what I mean by this is, let's say I need the sword, like in this level. But I screw up using the sword and there's a thing of brick blocks blocking my path. If I do this and I don't have a sword left, I'm not able to complete the level unless another person comes to my aid. So really, doing this makes it so that levels can actually be unbeatable, which really seems like a big bug to me. So always make sure to use a multi-item block when you have required items in a level. Also, make sure to not use 3 required items in one level. It's a pain to scroll through and makes it all kind of discombobulated when playing. At the number 4 spot is making sure that all multiple paths are fair. When there are 2 paths that branch off, you want to make sure that both the paths are the same difficulty and length, unless you have a reward at the end. There's where it gets a little tricky. If you have an easy path that is longer and a hard path that is shorter, there's no need for a reward. But if there is a longer path and a shorter path of the same difficulty, you want to make the longer path have a reward like an item or a stat boost. Alright, getting to the big ones now. At the number 3 spot is using safety nets over using mines as an obstacle. Now, this doesn't seem like a huge deal, but it actually plays a big part in the gameplay. I'm going to show a couple scenarios and explain why you'd want to use one over the other. In this first scenario, for a pit, you'd want to use a safety net over a mine because, simply put, a mine would be much more annoying if you hit it. In the second scenario, the mine proves to be a better obstacle because it serves as more of a slowdown obstacle more than a maneuverability obstacle that'll send you back if you screw up. And this is just plain annoying. And the final scenario is a detailed jump. As you can see in the first safety net one here, it works a lot better because if you screw up, you just go back to the platform and do it again. But in this scenario, if you hit the bombs, you don't have to worry about them anymore, and neither do the other players behind you. See how that works? It doesn't really help you all that much, does it? At the number 2 spot is having a consistent difficulty throughout the level. Now, some levels are meant to get progressively difficult as they go on, but the average level usually is supposed to have the same difficulty throughout the entire map. So if it's an easy map, make the whole level an easy map. If it's a hard map, make it all a hard map. But when there's difficulty spikes, which are surges in difficulty, where it gets really hard or really easy and then kind of levels out again, those are something you want to avoid because you don't want to make the level seem inconsistent. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Apocalypse. And the number 1 spot on my top 10 tips for making levels on Platform Racing 2 is don't be a jerk to the first player. Honestly, there are so many things that players can do to actually be a jerk to the first player. Being the first player meaning you're ahead of everyone else and you're in first place during the majority of the race. A lot of things people will do is they will put crumble blocks or put excessive bombs that once hit makes it so other players don't have to hit them, or even putting a bunch of push blocks as like sort of a puzzle. What that does is slows down the first player to give everyone else an advantage over them, and even put the first player behind because of it. Thank you guys for watching this top 10 video. I hope you guys can get something out of it and make some awesome levels in the future. If you guys ever want me to play one of these awesome levels that you have or are making right now, just leave me a comment or PM me and tell me you want to see a level review, because I am happy to do them and I am happy to help you guys out. This is Justin Bob 100 signing out.